Hey everybody, welcome to Randomly Selected, powered by the Silver Room. My name is Mario. Thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it. As always, don't forget, rate and review. Today's episode is brought to you live from the Bronzeville Winery. Well, recorded in front of a studio audience. I've always wanted to say that. And today's subject is Mark Aguirre. Yes, Mark Aguirre. We talked to him about his origin story, of course, and we also asked him about his years at Westinghouse High School, one of the greatest basketball players to ever do it. It's Mark Aguirre on Randomly Selected.
I grew up a little different, meaning that my grandfather and my grandmother are from Arkansas. And heritage behind them was a group that I actually saw as a young adult. I actually got to see what sharecropping was. So that makes me old, right?
No, not necessarily.
Yeah, it makes me have to deal with sharecropping. So I was like a very young kid at that point, and my grandmother would send me down there. And I'm telling them I'm old again, I actually, at my age, picked cotton. I wasn't picking a lot because, kid from the city ain't making enough money. So I wasn't really trying to do all that. But I actually got to pick cotton. Mm-hmm. And so I got family values early from that, seeing how hard my grandmother and my grandfather had to work in order to, sustain a living. And you don't know it at that point, but as I got older, I saw where my family was in the pecking order of things, mm-hmm. That kind of really enhanced my thought of meaning they worked so hard for me. And when I established that, that was a great foundation for me to understand that, as a young kid, things are not given out in this world, and that they work hard for them. And then, I was actually born the day my mother arrived in Chicago. She went from the train to the hospital, and when she got to the hospital, I was born an hour after that.
Whoa.
I was almost born on the train. So, I got a different connection with Chicago, so, different connection. So that was the beginning. And then being on the west side, I'm going to get this out of the way, and then we go. I was born on the west side. Born at old people like me at the county. No, what was it? What's the name of that hospital?
Now it's Strocher Hospital.
No, come on, man.
Talking about Cook County?
Was it Cook County Hospital?
Oh, yeah.
That's the one. Yeah, that Cook County Hospital. And I was born there, went home, but then there was an issue. I was born with rheumatic fever. And at that point, there wasn't a treatment for it. And the life expectancy of someone with rheumatic fever was like teens, things like that, because there was no actual cure for it. So the first 2 years after I was diagnosed, which I think I was 5, I lived in the hospital for 2 years. Yeah, because I had to be there, and at that point, when they were administering it, had to go to the bone marrow. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a skin shot. You had to go to the marrow. So they picked the fattest part of your body, which we know what it is, and it's a needle about so long. Yeah, and it's cringe, brother, because I used to fight. And I had to do that for 2 years, and that was the beginning of the west side for me. I was restricted to the porch. Once I got out, I couldn't do any activities. I couldn't run. I would run anyway. I'm a West Side kid. I'm going to get out. I'm going to find some way to do it. And I would get out and do what I had to do. But I was actually told as a kid, my parents, that you have to wait until your heart gets better and bigger in order to sustain you. And I went out and did what I wanted to do anyway. But thank God the Lord got me through all of that.
Indeed.
Yeah.
When did you discover that athletics was it for you?
Well, in actuality, I only saw athletics from my playground. I wasn't introduced to that world. I mean, I was on the porch. I knew what they were doing, but I mean, I wasn't going out there and trying to do it with them because I couldn't. Right. So I was introduced to it, and so I didn't think about anything else. I mean, I was just trying to do what my grandparents asked me to do and be around the house. So athletics didn't come into me till like maybe my freshman year in high school, maybe something like that.
And Westinghouse wasn't your first stop?
No. My first stop was Austin High School.
Yeah.
But they screwed up.
How did they screw up? How did they screw up?
Well, during my freshman year, I back up. I lied to a lot of the medical staff. You know, I don't know if you got to do it now. You're supposed to take this piece of paper home to have your parents sign it so you can actually go attend something. It never reached my home. I just signed it on my way home on the bus, and I gave it back to them. And, you know, it wasn't the reporting that you do now. You know, now I think they'll call you if your kid is not present. If they're not there, they'll call you. There was none of that. So my mom had to come up there for something, and one of the teachers pulled her over and said, you know, your son hadn't been to school in 127 days. Yeah, yeah. Whoa. And but I was at Austin High School, so she found out about it, and you know, I was doing pretty well, you know, kind of going up on that spear of, you know, being a decent player. Mm-hmm. And at that moment, that all ended. She went up there, as most moms would from the West Side. She cussed everybody out that had a door. Wow. If you had a door closed, she walked in there and cussed you out. Like, how can I not know that my son hadn't been to school in 127 days? But yet, I'm their basketball star. Mm. Oh, man, that didn't sit well. So she walked in. That was my last day at Austin. She came in and said, no, this is not happening. So I never went back. When we went home, she said, you're not going back there. We're going to a different school. And she just took me out of that school, and out of Austin High School, and she didn't know where I was going. I didn't know where I was going. And, you know, we ended up leaving there, actually.
When I was a younger person, Westinghouse High School was a mammoth basketball situation.
Say the truth now.
I can't lie.
Tell you the truth.
I won't, man. I'm a CVS man.
Tell you the truth. Tell it. I know you CVS people. We was the best team in Chicago.
Best team in the state.
One more time.
See, unbeknownst to you all,
I gotta let these Southside people know. No, we was the best team in the. Yeah.
No, quite literally, your Westinghouse basketball teams were the equivalent to college basketball teams, much like the DePaul Blue Demon teams were equivalent to NBA teams. We'll talk about that in a moment. But the Westinghouse years, y'all dominated. I mean, not kind of dominated, but legit dominated, and you were the anchor of all that. How did that come together where that team was so confident that they could beat almost anybody, and you almost beat everybody?
Yeah, well, you know, it's got good. And, you know, I'm really going to try to concentrate what I'm trying to tell you so you get a good picture of it, is that there was a gentleman before me named Eddie Johnson. Mm-hmm. Do you remember Eddie? Mm-hmm. Eddie was already that guy. And he was, you know, that guy. He was an All-American. He was that guy. And at that point, a lot of other teams knew that I was leaving Austin. So, you know, as coaches do, they come on, see us play, and try to get you to go to their school. So we went to Westinghouse, and I didn't give you all my mom. My mom is the ultimate competitor from any angle. I mean, education, I mean, whatever it is, she can't accept mediocrity. She just never did. Like, wow, that's all you can give me? That's it? It wasn't in her DNA. So we saw Westinghouse play, and she knew basketball. And, you know, I'm giving it to you honest. And she saw them play, and she knew that Eddie Johnson was an All-American. And then here come her mama about her baby. Oh, you better than him. He's supposed to be that good?
Whoa.
Oh, yeah, she said it out loud. Eddie Johnson mother right here. She right. She don't know, but she right here. Is that number 32? Oh, you better than him. I was like, Mama, no, calm down. Calm down.
Right.
And that's at that point, she looked at what they were doing from educational wise. Every player on there was a good student, and so at that point, it was over. So my kid's going to do that. You teach him like that, and she said, "Well, we're going to go to Westinghouse." But then the rigmarole start. I don't know if any of you guys know. It's like he can't transfer. It was all. I think it was all in the newspaper.
Yeah, they tried to stop your transfer.
Yeah, they tried. I was one of the first ones to ever, a quote unquote star, try to move from one place to another.
You were the transfer portal before the transfer portal.
Yeah, yeah, well, it wasn't that. That was a nice name to call it, transfer portal. They wasn't calling it that.
No, they were not.
Y'all stole my player.
Right.
What y'all doing? Y'all thieves. Tell everybody, Westinghouse thieving. So I transferred over to Westinghouse. Yeah, with Eddie.
We talked to Mark about the DePaul recruitment process. How did that come about? And just how important that era of DePaul basketball was. If you know, you know. But if you don't, you're about to find out. That's the purpose. It's randomly selected with Mark Aguirre.
To be, come from not being able to come off the porch to being able to play. So my family is a total God-loving, I don't say fearing,
right on.
God-loving family. So it was a situation where I had to be honest with my mom. I had to be honest with everyone else involved with me. And it really protected me in Canada because there wasn't a school that I know of that didn't try to recruit me. I didn't know how many. I had no idea. I couldn't tell you. It was just, it was that thing. I don't know. It was crazy. I didn't know what to do.
Because at that time you had won, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Basketball in Illinois?
Yeah, I was, let me tell you, I was the best high school player in America.
And you won, was the AP and the UPI, United Press International, for the younger folks. That was the thing back then. It was called UPI, just so you know. Yeah, you won all that stuff in high school?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, in high school I was considered that. But then that's where that mom and that West Side came in because, I just learned how to grind. I really learned how to grind. I learned how to compete.
Yeah.
And when it came to high school basketball, I remember my little Swin. I had a little Swin bike. They didn't take it from me because I got a little name, or else they would have took it from me. I know they took it from me. Well, so I used to travel to every place that they said who was the best. So, and at that time, you couldn't be traveling from the west side to the south side. You had too many pockets of trouble to go through. But I did it anyway. So I was trying to figure out who was the best.
So you rolled up on people on their court, different sides of town on your Schwinn?
Playground court.
Wow.
Playground court.
You just out here, I'll show you.
No, I wanted to know.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to show you. If they said that he was good, where does he play at? Well, they play at this time on Sundays at 4 o'clock. Oh, okay. So that was my target. And whoever that guy was my target. They said, yo, Big Jim was king of this playground. Well, I got to go see Big Jim. And I wanted to see what he was about.
Yeah.
So, I went over, excuse me, I'm not trying to be arrogant or anything, but I go crush him. So now that area I own. That playground is mine now. So when I come over there, I'm giving you this little playground inside. You got to own your playground. And people come to take your playground. They do. He came from South Side this way. Yeah. Oh, he'll be there at 3. I'll be there at 3. And that's the way I used to go in my young age. Is the fact that you had to compete for your crown. You couldn't just say, "Oh, I'm the best over here," and not play.
Yeah.
You had to compete for your crown.
How did Coach Ray find you?
It wasn't easy. It wasn't hard. You know, I mean, at that point, I was the best player in America.
So is it true that he would see you shoot in the gym and then he would just be like, "I love watching you shoot"? And what was it, 3 floors up to y'all gym at Westinghouse?
Yeah. And, you know, he was kind of built like I was, you know, meaning that race didn't scare me because of those years I spent in the hospital. I saw everything. I'm in there 2 years.
Yeah.
The kids I played with was white, black, Hispanic, Chinese, everything. So my vision of race wasn't embedded into me. This is my friend, you know, and whatever he was. So Ray was the same way. He was like, he would drive to the west side on Franklin, get out on the street, and walk up 10 flights of stairs, or 3 flights of stairs, just to see me play.
Yeah.
You know, and he the only one, you know, he didn't know other white coaches come up there. I had to go to them, you know. So he came to a majority of my games my senior year, my junior year and senior year, actually. Yeah.
I've said this to you before. I don't know if you remember it or not, but I'm going to say it again for the benefit of what we're doing tonight. There was a time in Chicago that the DePaul Blue Demons, without question, were the hottest ticket in town, bigger than the Chicago Bulls, and had the attention of every eyeball whenever you all played on a weeknight or a weekend on WGN.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Your team was dominant in this region and really just a great style of basketball. I was not any good, but I used to play basketball. When we would watch DePaul play, that was like, that's how you play. You know what I'm saying? That's how you play basketball. That's how you play team basketball. When you got a guy, that's the guy, you feed him the ball, you give it to him, you let him work his magic. He will find you, and don't miss your shot. And you guys didn't miss your shot for 3 years at DePaul. And I don't know if you know this, but I know these folks do. You all were our highlight. We waited for DePaul Blue Demon basketball. We wanted it. And if we didn't see it, it was like, man, Demon's not on today. All right, well. But when you all were on, man, you were must-see TV. Did you all have any awareness of what was going on?
I mean, you'd have to have some idea, but we were in kind of a bubble. You know, I mean, if I can explain it, we were in kind of a bubble because all of us grew up with the same kind of thing going through our high schools, our playgrounds, all that. And our purpose was to say, biggest thing is I'm the best and we're the best. Mm-hmm. So we understood GN and all that, but it was like, to give you a prime example, I was visiting schools, and you know, every school's after you, and I happened to be on a visit to UCLA, and here comes that Chicago mentality. At that point, the gentleman that was the best player in college, his name was David Greenwood.
Yes.
He was the best player in college, but you know, I got that Chicago in me, that West Side in me, and I went up to play them. And at that point, I don't know what they do now. At that point, you could actually play against their team. You could say, okay, here's our team, and you get out there and play with them. So I like, oh, you know, I want to do that. I want to see where I measure up. And you guys, please forgive me. I'm not trying to be.
What'd you tell me a few minutes ago? Tell the truth.
Okay, so I told the truth. All right, so. When I went to visit them and we went out and played, they teamed me. I was playing with David Greenwood for the first game, and me want to know who the best is. I don't want to play with David. I want to play against David. So I got switched over to the next team, and truth in, it wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty. They saw me destroy David Greenwood as a high school senior. I mean, not just
kind of
play good. Yeah. I mean, to a point where in the West Side, I made him give up. Yeah, that's what you want to do. Like, you have no business even being on the same court with me. And I was my senior year. So
senior year at Westinghouse.
Yeah. So it got so embarrassing that it was Roy Hamilton and somebody else that when we sat down on the side, David's their guy, they didn't know what to say. They really didn't know what to say to David. Like, what can you say? This high schooler came in here and just destroyed you. Like, not just I played well. No, throw me the ball. Just, y'all good. I got him. Don't worry about that.
Right.
And did it the whole practice. The whole practice. I mean, like, just, you've seen that stuff happen.
Yes, sir.
And but what was great about it is that I'm Chicago through and through, 100% blood, guts, and everything. I mean, there's no place I love better than Chicago. That's me. So good, bad, or indifferent, that's me. And when I played against them, I was like, forgive me again, say, you ain't all that. I'm looking at David, you ain't really all that. So during the time I was there, I'm sitting in a hotel and, my mind wandering, and I'm like, whoa. I say, I got Terry Cummings, Teddy Grubbs. At that point, I had Isaiah too, and that's another story.
No, we'll talk about Zeke for sure.
Another story. And I was like, why? I'm loving Chicago. Why should I pick up and come out here and play with you? I think, we better than y'all.
Yeah.
And I said, nah. I went to UCLA. I went to Syracuse. I went to Colorado. I went to all these schools. I was like, no, we better than all of y'all with my guys in Chicago. So I, went over, had chicken with Terry and his mom. And my mom went and met Teddy Grubbs' mom, and I just explained it to him. I was like, listen, if you guys are willing to do this, I say, if you come to DePaul, if you come behind me, I'm going to DePaul, and I think with all of us on the court, there's nobody in it. Nobody can even come our way. And at that point, Isaiah had also committed that same thing to me. So I had those 4 guys coming to the same school with me, and it was like, there's no possible way anybody's going to deal with us.
Before we get into a deeper conversation about Zeke, had Isaiah Thomas went to DePaul University, is there any doubt in your mind that DePaul would have won the national championship more than once?
He was the last ingredient. I know some of you guys know ball. I hope all you guys know ball, is that our team was so dominant that the year we lost, it was so bad for ratings for college basketball. It was so bad for ratings because of WGN. We were the only one nationally seen, only team nationally seen like that because of the WGN Superstation. And when we lost, they lost so much revenue that they said, you know what? Next year there has to be a shot clock because the team that played us, they
four-cornered y'all?
It wasn't even four-cornered. We're just not going to shoot. So, if you look at it, I tell people that if I'm on a golf course and me and Tiger Woods got one shot, I could possibly beat Tiger Woods. No, I could flip up and make it,
right.
and make my putt, and Tiger got a chance of not being close as I am, and he missed his putt, so I beat Tiger Woods. So they kind of played the same game, meaning that we're going to limit the shots, and now we're in the game. You shoot 8 shots, we shoot 8. If you only make 7 and we make 8, we win. So the next year, they just, immediately they instituted the shot clock because their ratings went down because they weren't able to see the number 1 team in the country even play in the series because of that. So they just totally, nope, shot clock.
What did it feel like to be the number one pick in the NBA draft and get picked by the Dallas Mavericks from first to last impressions? And also, did the Chicago Bulls ever try to get him before he went to Detroit? It's randomly selected with Mark Aguirre.
Well, I tell you that the people I hang with, the people that I was following at that time, they kind of implanted me the kind of thing that I didn't look at what we were the team. I looked at who was winning titles. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if every number one player did. They probably say it, but I don't know how much they mean about it. I was looking at, well, it was illegal. Magic was flying me around to all the finals. I saw any game I wanted to see in any city I wanted to see because I would call them up and say, well, I want to see Bird there. I want to see you play there. You know, I got to go see Doc play here. So being built a little different, I wanted to know what it took to, like, once I got drafted and I knew I was going, I wanted to know what it took to, like, be there because I haven't lost anywhere I've ever been. So that's the way I look. Like, who's the best? You know, what do they do? You know, how do you get there? Mm-hmm. And so I spent time doing that to be able to know, you know, what it takes, you know, to go where I want to
go. Back up real quick. Who were your guys? Because you mentioned Magic, and I'd be remiss to not say that in that era that you played in college, you all were that whole group. You, Magic, Bird. Just that the melange of people who played in college basketball then, like the greatest basketball players that ever played, and the greatest basketball players that ever played. So, like, when you get to the NBA, Magic's your guy. Are you like?
No, we were friends in college.
Okay.
We were friends in college.
You were already cool when.
Yeah, we played at the Final Four against each other.
Right.
We were playing earlier that year, just pickup ball, but then we got to be friends. And little did we know we were both going to be in the same Final Four. So we got to be really, really tight, you know, because just for good friends.
So you're at the Mavericks. You're there for a couple years, and Mavericks are not struggling, but they are a franchise that is not a powerhouse franchise. But you're doing work. And I'm moving a little quicker. And then that period is over with. You're about to get traded. What led up to the Mavericks deciding to make a trade for Adrian Dantley? Was it something that was it locker room stuff?
Nah, see, that's the false narrative. You guys got to understand the false narrative. People that know me, the false narrative that was put out to make what happened palatable. Mm-hmm. I was told I was a bad teammate. You got that in the press. I was told that I was selfish with the ball and things like that. But, you know, if you really looked at it, in my position, this is why it was just the narrative such a dangerous thing. As forwards are concerned, I would say I was a selfish forward. Mm-hmm. But there was only one forward in the NBA that had more assists than I did. By one, and that was Larry Bird. So if you have that many assists, I don't know how you're selfish. I don't know how that happens. But that was the narrative put out. But then again, Dallas was such a new franchise that the media had to cater to them. Mm. You know, because as a media company, I have to get in and report the Mavericks game. So at that point, who are they loyal to? They're not loyal to me. They're more loyal to the Dallas Mavericks. So when things came out, you know, like the media we have today, they were able to put their thumb on it.
Yeah.
And kind of tailor it, you know, because at that point I was just averaging like 25 a night, bunch of boards, bunch of assists, you know, and any other team would highlight that. But then the problem is that I would say this. Say it in the right way. I was black African American, and I knew where my boundaries were. I knew that you couldn't keep me undercover to be able to tell me anything, say anything to me, do anything to me. That wasn't going to happen.
Were they trying to suppress?
Well, I'm not going to say that, but there are certain instances where I'll give you one, and it's a real simple one, is that at that point, when you fly on airlines, when you fly on aircraft, back then we were doing commercial, and if your name was on a ticket, that means the miles that you flew belong to the flyer, not the buyer of the ticket. So if I bought you a ticket, they're not going to transfer your miles to me. Your name is on the ticket. You get the miles. So it's a little thing, but when they came to me and told me to sign this document, and me, I'm reading everything. And the document basically stated that I am relinquishing my miles to the Dallas Mavericks. So when they came to me and asked me, everybody else signed it, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. And say, well, how come you didn't sign it? I say, hold on, what does this document say? It says, it goes to the person that's doing the traveling. I say, I did the traveling, but we paid for the ticket. That's your job, is to pay for me to get where I need to go.
Right.
So, hold on, brother, you're going too far. No, I'm not going too far. So in little instances like that, I wasn't going to play that role. I'm never going to play that role, And when we did the things, we got on the court, and I was like, and I'm a little vicious when I'm on the court. No, I'm very vicious when I'm on the court, excuse me. They had a couple guys they drafted, and they weren't any good. They were bust. And, you drafted this guy, let me give it again. I'm giving you $25 a night.
Right.
Boards. I took you to the playoffs, but you drafted him number 8, and he can't get off the bench, but yet you are on me. So, I asked the questions that, kind of wanted to be pushed on the shelf. We don't need you talking like that. So, at that point, it was like, I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do in the game, but you don't need to, I'm not comfortable with you. I am not comfortable with you.
I know Isaiah is your friend for life.
My boy.
Y'all been homies since you were little kids.
My boy.
You get a chance to play for, this is going to hurt. You get a chance to play for the Detroit Pistons.
What do you mean?
I mean to say I'm a Bulls fan.
But did none of them play in Chicago?
Did the Bulls ever try to get you here?
Oh, it's another long story.
I've always wanted to ask you, did they ever even try?
They did. But, I don't want to get any people in trouble because I never did that. I don't want to do that. But
that's nice of you.
Yes. Well, I'm not here to do that.
All right.
They did. But from the group coming from me, and let me explain this. I love him, and I think he became a fabulous player. But from the conversation from the Bulls, they was concerned that if they got me, they would lose Scotty. Because Scotty wasn't finna start no more. That was over. You laughing when...
I'm only laughing because it's only because it's you, man.
I'm saying is Scotty bloomed, and don't get me wrong, Scotty bloomed and became a really, really nice player. But as me and Scotty was going at each other during the times he was at Chicago and I was at Dallas and I was at Detroit, and you guys can go look at the film if you want, or Google or whatever they do. They couldn't leave me alone with Scotty.
I've seen you cook them.
Scotty's going to get crushed.
I've seen it.
So they started moving Horace Grant over to me.
Right.
And I would be in the games, be like, well, Horace, are you the power forward or you small forward? So where is that other guy? I was like that West Side. Totally West Side. Like, yo, we get up at the circle, and I'm like, isn't he supposed to be guarding me?
Were you actually having these conversations with these men? Because I hear stories about NBA basketball trash talk.
That ain't trash talk. That's real. Like, what are you doing over there?
Why are you over here with me? Isn't he supposed to be on me?
Oh, say it all the time. Well, I got a pretty bad rep, and I don't care them, but I do that to their whole bench.
Wow.
Be like, who's next? Oh, I would lie. I would walk by their bench. He got 4 fouls. Which one of y'all next? In front of the coaches, so the coaches definitely didn't like me. That's why I couldn't get voted on. I mean, I can't believe I got, I think it's the only one in NBA history. I was the leading scorer in the NBA, and we were the number 2 team in the Western Conference. The game is in Dallas, and I didn't get picked for the All-Star game. Only time that's ever happened. The leading scorer in the whole NBA don't make the All-Star team. Yeah, see, they covered that up. You know, I mean, it was, but me, I'm from the West Side. Like, right, when I see y'all after the All-Star break, I'm crushing all y'all, everybody. But Dr. J happened to get the first one. You know, I was, I'm trying to give y'all all this stuff right now. I was, day before the All-Star game, I'm leading the NBA in scoring, and I'm driving to the game that night. We're playing Philly. And you can go look this one up. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Google it, whatever you want to do. And I had a little kid. They hated me for this. I took a little kid off the south side of Dallas. Good student, beautiful kid. And they were kind of a little funky in Dallas about stuff. So they didn't like me for this. I took him as my guy. He was a good student, good kid, but he was from South Dallas, which is, not. And he was my guy. So he goes everywhere I go, which they didn't like. In the locker room, wherever I go, he can go. And I came in the night that they picked the All-Star team, and I knew something was different with him. I was like, man, what's wrong with you? He's like, nothing, what's wrong with you? And then as we get ready to get in the locker room, he says, Mark, look, I got to tell you something before you go in here. And I was like, yeah, what is that? He said, you didn't make the All-Star team. I was like, man, get out of here. I'm the leading scorer in the NBA.
Right.
How will I not make it? Get out of here. And then when I walked in the locker room and opened the door, and my hand to our Heavenly God, I could feel it. No one would talk to me. I mean, people would turn away when I went by their locker. And I'm like, whoa, I'm feeling this, right? So the quote-unquote people who was the franchise people or the upper people, they called me in our training room. And they told me, you didn't make the All-Star team. And to be honest with you again, I've never been like that or in that place ever before. Meaning that, I was like, I was in just fury. Like, I didn't show it out, but I was in fury. And we were playing Philadelphia 76ers, and Doc was my idol. Doc always been my idol.
Your favorite player growing up?
Doc, Julius Erving, my idol. And we happened to be playing Philadelphia that day. But I looked past that, and you can look it up again on thing. Well, put it this way. My coach took me out at the end of the third quarter with 49 points, and we're up 20. And he said, I will not let you do that to Julius Erving. I didn't even run a play. I was like, every time I get the ball, I'm killing you or whoever was in front of me. And I think they posted in the media as just me being upset that I didn't make the All-Star, which I was. And I made it be known that I can't say it to you, but you can see it.
You can see it.
You see it, Yeah. And I did what I had to do, and it was all over the NBA the next day. Aguirre didn't make the All-Star game, but he showed
that he should have.
But and that's the kind of thing that got me that false narrative. And I went out there wrong. Let me explain to you. I went out there to do ugly, and I did. I went out to do ugly, and I did ugly, and they lost, and that was that.
Mark talks about his first visit to Chicago as a Piston and some other closing thoughts. This has been a very, very interesting episode with a really interesting cat, and I hope you enjoyed it. But stick around. There's more with Mark Aguirre.
I could not believe the first time I came out in Chicago, but I had not in Dallas, but I had a Detroit Pistons uniform on, and it kind of shocked me. I got booed.
Yeah, you did.
I was booed. I said, "What? Are you kidding me? Give me a clap, then boo for them." But I'm from Chicago. You know, hold it. I gave you Westinghouse, I gave you DePaul, and then I go here, y'all boo me.
Man, look. I mean,
that was bad for Scotty.
That was a bad night?
That was bad for Scotty. That was bad for Scotty. I'm finna mistreat him. Not just, I'm finna mistreat
and that
Scotty.
That was our fault.
Oh, finna mistreat him. The switch? No, you can't guard Mark. You go over there. You guard Mark. Switch? I never saw him again. I never saw him again. I didn't see Scotty no more. I know y'all some Scottie Pippen fans out of here, but this is one Scotty couldn't handle. And if you want verification, just go pull up them Chicago Bulls, Detroit Pistons, or Dallas Mavericks game. You're going to see me over here. You're going to see Scotty way over there. It ain't going to happen. He wasn't coming my way.
Yeah, you wrong.
Oh, I'm giving it to you raw, man.
I know. That's what I want.
It's true. It's the raw.
I don't get a chance.
Back up. Google.
I don't get a chance to talk to you every day. I'm just saying.
Back it up. Google.
So when the Bulls finally did do what they did, and I'm not even going to do that to you.
No, come on with it, man. We're going to give them all the truth.
You're a Chicagoan from, like, the realest of the real Chicagoans. Right. Was there any part of you at all in your body that was happy to see the Chicago Bulls win a championship?
No.
Say no more.
No, not at all.
I cannot tell you how happy I am to hear you say that.
Not at all.
And you know why I'm glad to hear you say that, brother? Because when you played for Detroit, you did not, I'm not going to curse, you didn't care that you were playing against the Chicago Bulls. They were an opponent in your way, and as somebody that has played basketball, I respect that way more than you saying I'm going to be easy on them because that's my hometown team.
Please. Ain't no easy since I was 9. There's no easy for nobody since I was 9.
But as a fan, and I'm just going to say this, I'm representing the fans in the world. Thank you, because you really, thanks, man. You could have been a little nice. And when I'm in between those lines, that's it.
Mr. Hyde is out there. Dr. Jekyll is left at home. Mr. Hyde is on the floor. Destruction. Total destruction. I destroy you. That's it. I want you, when you see me, I want you shaking. When you look at me, when they say my name, I want you to wake up. That's great. I'm serious. I'm telling you the truth. I was my job. Make my job easier.
Right.
If I destroy you now, next time I come, I don't have to deal with you.
I can deal with someone.
You know what's getting ready to happen. We don't have to go through that.
As we get ready to open this up for questions for the purposes of this recording, I just want to say to you, you, without question, mean a lot to me and to a lot to the people in this city. And you and Brother Magic and Isaiah and even Larry Bird. Y'all represented something for us. You gave us something to watch. You made it interesting. You made us love basketball more than we probably did already. And I'm telling you, man, you couldn't have put me in a room 10 years ago and said, in 2023, you're going to interview Mark Aguirre, and you're going to get a chance to ask him questions. This is one of the best days I have ever had, man. Thank you.
Wow. That's saying a lot.
For sure.
That's saying a lot, bro.
I mean, that 24 means something. You did work.
I'm not built like that.
No, but you did work, though.
I'm going from Inglewood to
I love the fact you rode up on people on your bike. That is crazy.
Please, but then
did they see you coming and was like, oh, here he go? You were like Debo before Debo.
Oh, man.
You just roll off, damn, here go Debo.
But I didn't think of it like that.
Right, you were just trying to do your thing.
I was trying to figure who is he? I was trying to figure that. I'm built like that, man. I'm not built for being arrogant. I'm not built for quote unquote the perimeter saying you the best.
Right.
I'm built for saying I don't have to tell you who the best is. We don't have to talk about that. If it's a question about it, let's have a debate. But I don't want you to have any question about it.
Really quick, and then I promise I'm going to open up the floor. How did you get involved in winemaking?
Champagne.
And champagne. I called it wine. That's bad. Champagne making. What was this when you were playing in the pros, or was this after? Or?
No, this was totally after. Isaiah and I are real close, but we are very honest with each other on anything. We've been in several endeavors, and have done very well. And Isaiah, he and his wife, went to France. And it's funny how it happened that he was at a hotel, and they always ask you to come out and visit the vineyards and things. That's a part of the whole Paris, France thing. Visit the vineyard. And he forgot the time difference, and this guy called me like at 4 a.m. and his thing was this: "Yo, I need you to get on a plane and come to Paris at 4 a.m." You know what that sounds like?
Yes.
Dog, you been drinking?
You all right?
Dog, you been drinking? What you been doing? He said, "No, I need you to come to Paris." I said, "What am I coming to Paris for?"
Right.
He said, "I got this champagne." I said, "You don't know nothing about champagne. What I'm coming for?" I said, "Call me when you get more information." "Hey, you need to come over here. It's my boy." I jump on the plane. Boy, let me tell you, that was the worst ride. I hated going over there, man. I was like, yeah, I'm on this plane, going over to see something I know nothing about.
Right.
And he crying the blues, and then I went over there, and I wasn't a champagne drinker at that point, but I was like, this is all right. They say, well, what we're gonna do? I say, no, let's call this guy, and they have a few people that we had been involved with. They are experts, and we flew them over. And when they tasted it, they was like, whoa, the taste is immaculate. What do they call it? They all say the same thing. Let me get that word. Delicious. That's a little word, but, most champagne drinkers, when they drink something they love, a large percent of them say it's delicious. So I was like, wow, that makes sense. Okay, so I heard him say it was delicious, and that's my boy. And I was like, you know what? Here's mine. And we dove into it, and it's paid off so far. It's really paid off.
Well, it is delicious. Don't let this full glass treatment right here fool you. I will find a way to drink it before I disappear. I do. As we get ready to take questions, one more time, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here, and let's thank Mark Aguirre.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We'd like to thank Mark Aguirre for being our guest on Randomly Selected, one of my favorite basketball players ever, even in the Detroit Pistons years. That's my man. It was a nice time with him. Thanks again, Mark. And thank you to the folks at Bronzeville Winery. We really appreciate you lending your beautiful space for this wonderful program. Our next edition of Randomly Selected is also at Bronzeville Winery and features our guy, Norman Teague. It's going to be good. See you guys soon. Peace.